Good morning, everyone. In the last lecture, we discussed about the suspense systems. Into the suspense systems, we absorb the shocks or we avoid some jerk on the human body who are present on this the bike or vehicle or heavy vehicles, and that's to maintain the body actively or no any hazardous to this body. That's why we have to using this different kind of the suspensions, and these suspensions to absorb the what do we say about that some shocks, and these shocks are helpful for these shocks absorber are helpful for some is eligibility or reduce the resilience of the body. So that's in the last lecture we discussed some different types of the springs, and these springs is useful for to calculate the spring rate and with different types of the springs. So this leaf spring is here, coil spring, torsion, and then air spring. So leaf spring is generally we used for this heavy load vehicles, and these heavy vehicles is connected with the help of some different type of their the leaves, these main leaves, then clamps, and then some reduces the dimension of that, and these main leaves is reduces the with the help of their semi elliptical lip springs. Similarly, full elliptical is lip spring is here. This full elliptical lip spring also used for some the heavy load vehicles or some traditional before of that the 20 years and 30-year ago, these vehicles we are using into them. This is helpful for this is helpful for some full elliptical springs. The quarterly also used into this some marine type of that, or then or some heavy vehicles used into them. Then next is here, this is the spring eyes, so different shape of their eye we discussed in the last lecture, and also it is discussed in this here some the pressure blocks also, then torsion bar. This is the coil spring. This coil spring used into this some two-wheeler or moped or moped bikes or some any kind of this the different kind of different bikes used into this coil spring. We are using this coil spring also in light motor vehicles, LMV, or light utility vehicles, to absorb the shocks into this some up to the 1.2 tons weight of their vehicle. Then next is a torsion bar. The torsion bar, this is used into them some heavy vehicles like tractors, trolleys, and that are the shock absorber used into them. This maximum tonnage is coming to them 50 to 60 tons, sorry, 15 to 20 tons for their the moving of their heavy vehicles. Then air spring. This air spring is used here. This air bag is here, walls, then frames, then compressor. This compressor is generate the air, and this compressed generated air is transferred this suspension and absorb the shocks. This is the advantages also is discussed in the last lecture is here. First is maintain the constant distance between frame and road surface. Then similarly for these the low frequency springs such as the comfortable ride and its frequency remain constant. Then material used for that the spring is here the chrome vanadium steel. Second is here silico manganese steel. And third is here we discussed is carbon steel. And this carbon steel is right now using for the long durable material or long durable shock absorber or the coil spring we used for this the carbon steel. When we think about that, the chromium vanadium is composition with the steel, and these the chromium vanadium has some different physical, chemical, thermal, and mechanical properties to maintain the heavy load vehicle and then durable for the long terms of their suspension system. Similarly, the second is here also is collaborate with the different properties, and these collaborated with different properties like the silicon manganese and and the and the different point of that, it is useful for their some different silicon sorry, silicon, manganese and steel. This has some different components for used into them. The next is here the carbon steel, and this carbon steel is useful for the material spring, which have some different kind of material properties which is depends upon that to remove the shock absorber, and also which is helpful for some the not any jerk to the body with the help of some suspension systems. Okay, so this is a material used of this different kind of that different kind of their material used have some the various specification of material. Okay, then next is here the shock absorber. This shock absorber is here. This when soft spring is used, it will given more vibration to the vehicle body and chassis, thus the causing the discomfort to the occupant. If stiff or hard spring is used, it will not provide the cushioning under the small load. So it is such as devices is needed which the damping the vibration. This damping effect is provided by the shock absorber. The principle of the shock absorber here, this image is shown in front of yours. I have to zoom in this image. It's a telescopic shock absorber. Okay, so what is a telescopic shock absorber? This image is in front of you shown as here. Okay, this is the eye connected frame. Okay, and this eye connected frame is rounded here some piston spring, and then the seal we can use here into this cylinder head. Then this is a dust seal. Okay, this is a dust seal. This is a rounded wall. This rebounded wall is here. Then bumped wall. This is the bumped wall, black color shown as here. This is a opening and closing piston in out inlet and outlet, just like this the working of their IC engine in 4-stroke or the 2-stroke. So generally what happen here, the fluid is filling into this the uh, tandem like or the telescopic absorber, and into the shock absorber the tube is takes place here. This tube takes place into the cylinder. We taken as here some different kind of these things, and this different kind of the things we can use for the different telescopic presentation. Okay, next when we think about that, this telescopic shock absorber, it is moving with the help of some piston momentums, and this piston momentum is the motion of their the fluid is compression and expansion takes place, and this compression expansion takes place to reduce the shocks, and then giving some cushioning effects. This cushioning effects is helpful for to avoid some jerk and some comfortness to this passenger and driver. So this function of here, this function of their shock absorber, this the telescopic shock absorber is here. It provides the damping effect and sudden shock provided to this road roughness, and it helps some suspension systems to maintain the tire and road contact. It controls rolling of the vehicle while the taking turns. The next is here, this provide comfort to the component of the vehicle. So this is the 4 major function of their telescopic shock absorber. Okay, so this is all about here then some shock absorber. Okay, thank you.